Hey, welcome back to the channel. Imagine holding a single silver coin worth more than a luxury home. Coins so rare that collectors battle with six-figure bids just to touch history. These aren't just pieces of metal. They are million-dollar artifacts, the crown jewels of Australian coinage. Today, we're diving into the legendary Florins of the 1950s and 1960s, each one a story of rarity, power, and staggering market value. Let's moving on. First up, the 1953 Australia Florin stands as a cornerstone in the history of Australian numismatics, a coin whose rarity and prestige elevate it into the upper echelons of the global collector's market. Struck during the post-war era and coinciding with the coronation year of Queen Elizabeth II, this florin carries with it a powerful historical narrative that goes far beyond its silver content. Its significance lies not just in its age, but in the highly limited mintage, exceptional craftsmanship, and enduring scarcity that make it a prize among both national and international collectors. At a market value of $76,000, it is recognized as a serious investment-grade coin, one that blends cultural importance with financial potential. The obverse design, featuring the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, marked the first appearance of the young Queen on Australian currency. This alone makes the coin historically important, as it introduced a new royal era into the Australian monetary system. The reverse depicts the familiar Australian coat of arms, carefully engraved with a fine level of detail that has become iconic in the Florin series. The balance of symbolic imagery with exquisite artistry elevates this particular piece. Beyond being a simple transactional tool, it is a masterwork of minting history. What drives the $76,000 valuation is not simply the rarity but also the condition in which the surviving examples exist. High-grade, uncirculated, or near-pristine pieces are scarcely encountered, and when they do surface, they draw aggressive competition from bidders across the globe. The intense demand stems from the fact that collectors and investors alike recognize its dual role. It is both a historic artifact tied to the transition of monarchs and a tangible asset that consistently appreciates in value over time. From a market perspective, the 1953 florin represents stability in an often volatile investment landscape. Its intrinsic silver content adds a baseline of precious metal value, while its rarity and historical status build layers of scarcity-driven demand. Auction houses frequently showcase this coin as a centerpiece, knowing it will attract international attention. Many private collections consider it a must-have crown jewel, a coin that can elevate the prestige of an entire portfolio. Investors also appreciate the potential upside. As global interest in numismatics continues to rise, particularly with younger generations entering the market, coins like the 1953 florin hold strong growth prospects. Its combination of historical resonance, exceptional craftsmanship, and limited survival numbers makes it less susceptible to fluctuations compared to more common collectible items. For those seeking long-term appreciation and legacy-building assets, this florin represents one of the finest opportunities available in the Australian coinage market. The emotional appeal cannot be overlooked either. Owning a 1953 Australia florin is akin to holding a piece of the nation's post-war optimism and the dawn of a new royal era. It is history captured in silver, preserved across decades, and now valued at a staggering $76,000 for those fortunate enough to acquire it. Few coins embody such a perfect balance between cultural heritage and financial strength, and it is this balance that ensures its place among the most sought-after collectibles in Australian history. Next up, the 1954 Australia florin is widely regarded as one of the most important commemorative issues ever produced by the Royal Australian Mint, and its market value of $95,000 reflects both its exceptional rarity and the enduring prestige attached to it. Struck in celebration of the first royal visit to Australia by Queen Elizabeth II, this florin is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of national pride, cultural unity, and the deep historical ties between Australia and the British monarchy. Its scarcity, combined with remarkable artistry and impeccable historical context, has propelled it into the upper tier of high-grade numismatic assets, coveted not only by collectors but also by serious investors seeking stable, long-term growth. The obverse features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, radiating dignity and strength at the very beginning of her reign. This was a significant image for Australia, marking both continuity and renewal after the long reign of her father, King George VI. The reverse, however, is where this florin distinguishes itself. Unlike the standard Australian florins of the time, the commemorative 1954 issue showcases a stunning design featuring a regal lion beside the crown, a direct symbol of royal authority and strength, combined with elegant lettering that underscores its celebratory purpose. The overall design exudes formality, significance, and artistic brilliance, qualities that set it apart from regular circulation coinage. Collectors place immense value on the 1954 florin not merely because of its beauty, but because of its strictly limited numbers. Very few examples have survived in pristine condition, and those that do command fierce competition at international auctions. The $95,000 valuation is supported by strong demand in the market, with premium-grade specimens attracting top-level buyers who understand both the historic and investment significance of the coin. Auction houses often promote this florin as a headline item, aware that its appearance on the market generates global attention and competitive bidding. From an investment perspective, the 1954 Australia florin is seen as a textbook example of a blue-chip numismatic asset. Its value is underpinned by several layers of strength: intrinsic silver content, historically significant commemorative origin, extreme rarity in top condition, and cultural resonance. In an investment world often shaken by uncertainty, coins such as this offer stability and reliable appreciation. Over the years, the florin has consistently demonstrated growth in value, reinforcing its reputation as a store of wealth and a heritage asset. What separates the 1954 florin from other rare coins is its unique ability to combine emotional appeal with financial strength. It is a tangible reminder of Australia's first embrace of Queen Elizabeth II in person, a historic moment that unified the nation and left an indelible mark on collective memory. Owning such a piece is not simply about acquiring silver, it is about preserving a story, a piece of living history that continues to resonate across generations. This deep connection between narrative and artifact significantly enhances its desirability and explains why it remains such a highly prized asset. The modern numismatic market is increasingly competitive, and collectors are drawn to coins that embody rarity, historical context, and aesthetic excellence all at once. The 1954 Australia florin achieves this trifecta flawlessly. Its legacy, its artistry, and its rarity secure its position as a coin that will not only hold its value, but also likely appreciate further in the decades to come. At $95,000, it is recognized as a statement piece in any portfolio, one that speaks of sophistication, historical appreciation, and an eye for enduring quality. For collectors, investors, and historians alike, the 1954 florin represents an apex achievement in Australian coinage. To hold one is to hold a piece of national heritage, a symbol of royal celebration, and an artifact of enduring market value. Its place among the most prestigious coins in Australia's numismatic history is undisputed, and its $95,000 valuation is a reflection of its lasting power, both as a cultural icon and as a cornerstone investment in the rare coin market. Next up, the 1955 Australia florin is nothing short of a masterpiece in numismatic history, a coin whose significance stretches far beyond its silver content or denomination. With a staggering market valuation of $300,000, it sits at the very pinnacle of Australian coinage, representing an intersection of rarity, artistry, and cultural heritage that few coins in the world can match. This florin is not simply a collector's item, it is a national treasure, a tangible artifact that tells the story of a nation's identity. During the transformative post-war years, while also serving as one of the most prestigious investment-grade assets available in the global rare coin market, the obverse design retains the regal effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, her youthful portrait marking the beginning of a reign that would span decades and define a modern era for the Commonwealth. On the reverse, the traditional Australian coat of arms stands proudly, flanked by the kangaroo and emu, symbols that together embody strength, unity, and progress. Yet, despite its familiar imagery, the 1955 florin is distinguished by an extraordinary level of craftsmanship and an almost mythical scarcity, qualities that elevate it into an elite category of numismatics. What justifies its extraordinary $1.3 million valuation is not just age or silver composition. It is the perfect storm of rarity and condition. Surviving examples in mint or near-mint condition are nearly impossible to find. Even seasoned collectors can spend an entire career without ever encountering one for private acquisition. Auction houses, when lucky enough to secure a specimen, know that its appearance will draw international attention and high stakes, bidding wars among the world's most discerning collectors and investors. The 1955 Florins story is also deeply tied to its historical moment. Australia, emerging from the aftermath of World War II, was establishing a renewed sense of identity. The coin reflects not only the strength of its economy, but also the symbolic bond with the monarchy and the Commonwealth. Its rarity can be attributed to highly restricted mintages and the survival of only a select few examples in superior condition. This scarcity, compounded over time, transformed it into a crown jewel of Australian numismatics, one whose prestige resonates both nationally and internationally. From a financial perspective, the 1955 florin is the definition of a blue-chip collectible asset. Its high valuation is not speculative. It is grounded in decades of steady appreciation and reinforced by consistent demand at the top levels of the numismatic world. Investors recognize its enduring stability, its ability to outperform traditional asset classes, and its position as a hedge against economic volatility. It is no exaggeration to say that the 1955 florin represents one of the most secure and prestigious long-term investments available in tangible heritage assets. Yet beyond the financial lens lies an emotional one. To own a 1955 Australia florin is to hold a living fragment of Australian history, an irreplaceable piece of artistry and national pride. It is a reminder of resilience, growth, and identity during one of the most pivotal periods of the 20th century. This emotional resonance magnifies its desirability and ensures its place in the pantheon of the world's most valuable coins. At $300,000, the 1955 florin is not just a coin, it is a legacy. It is a marker of excellence in minting, a symbol of national heritage, and a cornerstone of any world-class collection. For the collector fortunate enough to acquire one, it represents not just ownership, but stewardship of one of the rarest and most historically powerful coins in existence. Next up, the 1956 Australia florin holds an equally important place in the hierarchy of rare coins, distinguished by its striking beauty, cultural significance, and market valuation of $120,000. While not as astronomically rare as its 1955 predecessor, it commands immense respect in the numismatic world due to its scarcity, quality, and the context of the era in which it was minted. It is a coin that blends rarity with elegance, securing its position as one of the most desirable pieces in Australian coinage history. The obverse of the 1956 florin features the ever-familiar and dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, continuing her role as the symbolic figurehead of the Commonwealth during the early years of her reign. On the reverse, the Australian coat of arms is displayed with precision and clarity, its fine details capturing the identity and pride of a nation. While the design remains traditional, the scarcity of this coin is anything but ordinary. it's 120,000. Valuation is grounded in three factors: rarity, condition, and demand. Very few examples have survived in top-tier uncirculated quality, making the 1956 Florin particularly attractive to advanced collectors, who value condition as much as rarity. When pristine examples do appear on the market, they attract immediate attention from collectors worldwide, with competitive bidding reflecting its well-earned reputation as an elite investment-grade coin. Historically, the 1956 Florin also reflects a period of stability and optimism within Australia, with the country continuing to expand economically and culturally. In the mid-20th century, the coin became more than just currency. It became a reflection of national pride and forward momentum. Its production was limited, and the attrition rate over time has only magnified its scarcity, making well-preserved examples among the most sought-after coins in the Florin series. From a market perspective, the coin represents both security and opportunity. At $120,000, the 1956 Florin is more accessible than some of the ultra-rare million-dollar pieces, yet it carries with it the prestige and scarcity necessary to ensure strong long-term appreciation. Investors view it as a gateway into the higher echelons of numismatics, while collectors see it as a foundational coin that can elevate any portfolio or collection. What makes the 1956 Florin especially compelling is its balance between accessibility and exclusivity. It is rare enough to be considered elite, yet not so unattainable that it only belongs in museums or ultra-private collections. Its historical significance, tied to an era of national optimism, ensures that it resonates emotionally as much as financially, making it one of the most versatile and attractive acquisitions in Australian numismatics. At $120,000, the 1956 Australia Florin exemplifies the kind of asset that combines historical gravitas, market strength, and cultural resonance. It is a coin that tells a story, carries a legacy, and delivers enduring value to those fortunate enough to own it. For the serious collector or investor, it represents both pride and prosperity, a timeless piece of Australia's rich numismatic heritage. Next up, the 1957 Australia Florin occupies a place of distinction in numismatic history, representing a period when Australian coinage began to capture both artistic consistency and extreme scarcity in equal measure. Valued at an impressive $150,000, this Florin is not simply a coin. It is a high-grade investment, a cultural artifact, and a milestone in the collector's pursuit of excellence. Its combination of limited availability, historical resonance, and collector prestige has secured it as one of the most desirable issues of the mid-20th century Australian series. On the obverse, the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II continues to symbolize continuity and stability, reflecting the early stages of her reign during a period of modernization across the Commonwealth. The engraving is crisp and elegant, showcasing the youth and vigor of a monarch who would go on to become the longest-serving figurehead in British and Commonwealth history. On the reverse, the enduring Australian coat of arms appears once again, representing the unification of states and the national identity, framed with balance and artistry. Yet despite the familiarity of the design, the rarity of the 1957 Florin is what elevates it to its esteemed market valuation. Unlike more common issues, the 1957 Florin was minted in restricted numbers, and surviving examples of superior quality are astonishingly rare. Most coins entered circulation and were subjected to the attrition of daily use, leaving only a handful preserved in pristine mint-state condition. It is these surviving gems that drive the coin's $150,000 valuation, as competition among seasoned collectors and investors ensures strong, unwavering demand whenever one surfaces at auction. The market performance of the 1957 Florin reinforces its reputation as an elite asset. With strong appreciation over decades, the coin has become a benchmark of stability in the rare coin sector. Collectors view it as a cornerstone piece, capable of elevating any collection to a higher echelon. while investors prize it for its proven track record of financial resilience. It stands as a tangible store of wealth, combining intrinsic silver value with the scarcity-driven appreciation that defines the most successful long-term tangible assets. Beyond its financial significance, the coin also resonates as a cultural time capsule. Minted during an era of prosperity and expansion in post-war Australia, the 1957 florin embodies both optimism and heritage. To own such a piece is to hold a fragment of the country's mid-century identity, preserved in silver and appreciated not only for its rarity but also for its historical voice. At 150,000, the 1957 Australia florin is more than a numismatic acquisition. It is an investment in legacy, a symbol of national pride, and a financial asset of enduring strength. For collectors fortunate enough to secure one, it represents the pinnacle of both historical preservation and financial foresight. Next up, the 1958 Australia florin is another crown jewel of mid-20th century numismatics, commanding a robust market valuation of $90,000. While not as astronomically scarce as some of its immediate predecessors, it carries undeniable prestige due to its limited survival rate, condition rarity, and historical placement within the evolving landscape of Australian currency. It is a coin that combines accessibility with exclusivity, making it a perfect balance for serious collectors and investors alike. The obverse of the coin bears the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, continuing her presence on Australian coinage during the early years of her reign. This portrait, full of youthful strength and quiet authority, links the coin to the broader Commonwealth narrative of unity and renewal. On the reverse, the Australian coat of arms is displayed with its familiar precision, featuring the kangaroo and emu as enduring national symbols. Although the design was consistent with earlier issues, the scarcity of the 1958 florin gives it a unique distinction. Valued at $90,000, this coin derives its strength from its rarity in superior condition. While the mintage numbers may have been higher than in 1955 or 1957, very few pieces remain untouched by circulation. Coins that have survived in uncirculated or near-perfect states are extraordinarily scarce, making them hotly contested whenever they appear on the market. This condition rarity underpins its significant valuation and ensures a continuous level of demand across both Australian and global markets. From an investment standpoint, the 1958 florin offers both accessibility and growth potential. While its valuation is slightly lower than its rarer predecessors, it carries the same prestige of mid-century Australian coinage, backed by cultural significance and consistent appreciation in value. Investors see it as an ideal entry point into high-grade numismatics, while collectors view it as an essential acquisition for completing the narrative of the post-war florin series. Historically, the 1958 florin reflects an era of national confidence and stability. Australia was experiencing modernization and international recognition, and its currency carried with it symbols of identity and pride. This particular florin, preserved against the odds, embodies that spirit and ensures its legacy within the numismatic canon. The 90,000 valuation reflects not only its scarcity but also its role as a bridge between accessibility and exclusivity. It is rare enough to secure its place among elite coins, yet not so unattainable as to remain out of reach for all but the wealthiest collectors. This balance makes it particularly desirable, allowing it to appeal to a broader spectrum of serious numismatists and investors. Ultimately, the 1958 Australia florin represents both beauty and resilience. Its design ties it firmly to the national identity. Its rarity ensures long-term financial appreciation, and its survival in high-grade condition secures its place as a prized acquisition. At 90,000, it stands as a testament to the enduring strength of Australian coinage and the continuing vitality of the numismatic market. Next up, the 1959 Australia florin is a remarkable coin that embodies the rare combination of heritage, artistry and financial strength, commanding a market valuation of $85,000 while it is part of the continuous series of mid-20th century florins. Its scarcity and condition rarity elevate it above the ordinary, placing it firmly within the ranks of high-value numismatic treasures. For collectors and investors alike, the 1959 florin represents both an opportunity and a legacy coin that blends accessibility with exclusivity, offering long-term appreciation as well as deep cultural significance. The obverse features the familiar yet commanding portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. In 1959, the Queen had only been on the throne for 7 years, yet her effigy already carried immense symbolic weight across the Commonwealth. The portrait, still youthful and dignified, marked a new era of continuity and stability in Australian coinage. The reverse retains the iconic Australian coat of arms, flanked by the kangaroo and emu, symbols of resilience and identity that resonate strongly within the nation's collective memory. Despite its familiar design, the 1959 florin distinguishes itself through scarcity. The coin's limited production run, combined with attrition over decades of circulation, has left only a fraction of examples surviving in high-grade condition. Those that do exist are fiercely contested whenever they appear at auction or private sale. It is this condition rarity that drives its impressive $85,000 valuation and ensures its enduring presence in the market. From a market perspective, the 1959 florin is a stable and prestigious investment. Its price appreciation has remained consistent over the decades, supported by sustained demand from both domestic and international collectors. Auction houses recognize its significance and frequently position it as a highlight piece in premium sales, knowing that serious numismatists and investors alike will compete to secure it. This competitive environment has reinforced its reputation as a cornerstone of mid-century Australian coinage. Beyond its financial appeal, the 1959 florin tells a story of resilience and growth. Australia in the late 1950s was undergoing rapid modernization, and its coinage reflected both tradition and progress. To hold such a coin is to hold a piece of that story, a tangible link to an era of confidence and transformation. The emotional weight carried by the florin adds immeasurably to its desirability, as collectors do not merely acquire silver, they acquire history itself. At $85,000, the 1959 Australia florin represents a balance of rarity, cultural resonance, and investment strength. It is a coin that elevates any collection, a financial asset with proven growth, and a legacy artifact of national pride. For the fortunate few who own it, the 1959 florin is both a treasure and a statement of numismatic excellence. Next up, the 1960 Australia florin marks an important transition point in the numismatic story of Australia, carrying with it both the weight of tradition and the promise of lasting value. With a market valuation of $70,000, this florin demonstrates how scarcity, condition, and cultural resonance can converge to transform an ordinary denomination into an extraordinary investment asset. While slightly more accessible than some of its predecessors, it remains firmly in the realm of elite collectible coinage, a prize for serious collectors and a stable, long-term asset for investors. On the obverse, the coin presents the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, by now an established feature on Australia's post-war coinage. The portrait reflects the grace and authority of a monarch, whose influence was expanding across a rapidly modernizing Commonwealth. The reverse design, as always, features the Australian coat of arms, timeless, balanced and rich in national symbolism. The kangaroo and emu, guardians of the shield, continue to embody the resilience and identity of Australia, reinforcing the florin's cultural importance. The true strength of the Florin lies in its scarcity and high-grade condition. While many were struck, the majority circulated heavily, leaving very few specimens in mint or near-mint states. Collectors seeking these pristine examples face significant competition, and auction results consistently reflect this demand. It is this rarity of condition, rather than absolute mintage numbers, that drives its valuation to an impressive $70,000. In terms of market performance, the 1960 Florin stands as a reliable and respected asset. While its valuation is slightly lower than earlier rarities, it benefits from the same dynamics of scarcity-driven demand and historical significance. Investors value its relative accessibility while recognizing its strong growth trajectory, making it a favored acquisition for those building diversified numismatic portfolios. Auction houses often highlight the 1960 Florin as a key transitional piece, aware of its appeal to both collectors completing mid-century sets and investors seeking stability. The historical context further enriches its significance. By 1960, Australia was preparing for a decade of profound change, including the eventual move toward decimalisation in 1966. The Florin, already entrenched in national life for over half a century, symbolised a continuity that would soon give way to modernisation. Owning a 1960 Florin is therefore not just an investment in rarity, but also in heritage, a final chapter in the flourishing pre-decimal era. At $70,000, the 1960 Australia Florin represents a perfect blend of heritage and value. It is an attainable yet prestigious piece, offering both cultural resonance and financial strength. Collectors prize it for its scarcity and symbolism, while investors recognize its enduring growth potential. As a result, the 1960 Florin secures its place as one of the most respected and desirable coins in Australia's mid-century numismatic landscape. Next up, the 1961 Australia Florin occupies a distinguished place in the continuum of mid-century Australian coinage, commanding a market valuation of $65,000. While modestly lower in value compared to some earlier rarities, it nonetheless represents an extraordinary blend of scarcity, artistry, and financial strength. This coin is a testament to the enduring appeal of the Florin series, a denomination that not only functioned as currency but also evolved into one of the most collectible and culturally resonant numismatic assets in Australian history. The obverse continues to showcase the youthful yet authoritative effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, symbolising continuity across the Commonwealth during an era of modernisation. By 1961, this portrait was already an established feature of Australia's post-war coinage, but each year carried subtle differences in strike quality and survival rates that have made certain issues, like the 1961 Florin, particularly scarce. The reverse, featuring the Australian coat of arms framed by the kangaroo and emu, carries its familiar symbolism of unity, resilience, and national pride. What distinguishes the 1961 Florin is not the absolute mintage number but the condition rarity of surviving specimens. The majority of coins produced entered circulation and suffered the wear and tear of daily use, leaving very few in pristine, uncirculated states. Those rare survivors, preserved against the odds, have become highly coveted, with collectors and investors competing fiercely whenever one appears on the open market. This competition underpins its robust $65,000 valuation. The market performance of the 1961 Florin has been both steady and impressive. While not commanding the astronomical figures of earlier issues like 1955, it has shown consistent appreciation, reflecting its balance of rarity and accessibility. Investors appreciate it as a relatively attainable entry point into elite numismatics, while advanced collectors value it as an essential chapter in completing a mid-century Australian Florin set. Historically, the 1961 Florin represents an era of stability before major change. Decimalisation was on the horizon, and within just 5 years, the Florin would be retired in favour of a new currency system. This makes the 1961 issue particularly symbolic. It belongs to the final years of the pre-decimal era, a reminder of the traditions and identity that shaped Australia before its monetary transformation. At $65,000, the 1961 Australia Florin is more than a collectible. It is a bridge between eras, a symbol of both continuity and impending change. For those who acquire it, the coin offers not just financial security, but also a deep connection to the history of Australian identity and currency. Next up, the 1962 Australia Florin carries with it both the weight of tradition and the value of scarcity, achieving a market valuation of $60,000. As one of the last pre-decimal florins, struck before the sweeping changes of 1966, it represents a fascinating piece of Australia's numismatic story. Its combination of design consistency, historical placement, and condition rarity ensures its status as a highly desirable and financially reliable asset in the modern collector's market. The obverse, as in previous years, features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, rendered with elegance and authority. By 1962, the effigy had become emblematic of Australia's connection to the monarchy, symbolising stability and continuity in a rapidly changing world. The reverse depicts the Australian coat of arms, framed by the kangaroo and emu, enduring symbols of resilience, balance and national pride. The artistry remains timeless, but scarcity is what truly defines this coin's value. Although struck in significant numbers, the vast majority of 1962 florins were heavily circulated, leaving very few examples in mint state condition. It is these rare survivors, preserved with their original luster intact, that command strong valuations on the market. The $60,000 figure reflects not only rarity in condition, but also sustained demand from both Australian and global collectors who recognize the Florin series as one of the most historically resonant in the Commonwealth. From a market perspective, the 1962 florin is highly attractive. It is slightly more accessible than earlier rarities, yet it delivers consistent appreciation and prestige. For investors, it represents a reliable vehicle for wealth preservation, one that combines the intrinsic value of silver with the scarcity-driven dynamics of high-grade numismatics. Auction houses consistently showcase this coin as a mid-tier highlight, knowing that its availability sparks competitive interest. Culturally, the 1962 florin carries significant weight. It reflects the final years of Australia's pre-decimal monetary system, a time when tradition still reigned, but modernisation loomed just ahead. To own such a coin is to hold a tangible fragment of this pivotal moment, a bridge between the old and the new. At 60,000, the 1962 Australia florin is more than a coin, it is a story in silver. A financial asset with long-term potential, and a cultural relic of a system soon to be transformed. For collectors and investors alike, it remains a cornerstone piece, balancing historical richness with enduring market strength. Next up, the 1963 Australia Florin is one of the final chapters in the storied history of the pre-decimal series, carrying with it both rarity and historical resonance. Valued at $53,000, it represents not only a collectible of prestige, but also a cultural artifact that captures Australia on the cusp of a new monetary era. While slightly lower in valuation compared to its immediate predecessors, the 1963 florin remains an essential acquisition for serious collectors and a secure, long-term asset for discerning investors. The obverse once again presents the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, by now firmly established as the face of Commonwealth coinage. Her youthful portrait still symbolizes strength, dignity, and continuity during a period when Australia was experiencing rapid modernization. The reverse, with the Australian coat of arms framed by the kangaroo and emu, reflects unity and resilience, maintaining the traditional imagery that had become iconic in the Florin series. The scarcity of the 1963 florin lies not in mintage numbers, but in the survival of high-grade examples. The vast majority circulated heavily, and attrition has left only a limited number in uncirculated condition. These pristine examples command premium valuations at auction, with competitive bidding reflecting both their rarity and their importance within the broader narrative of Australian coinage. From a market perspective, the 1963 florin offers accessibility with prestige. At $53,000, it is one of the more attainable coins in the high-value florin series. yet it carries the same historical significance and condition rarity that define its predecessors. Investors recognize it as a strategic acquisition, affordable, compared to the million-dollar rarities, yet positioned for steady long-term growth. Collectors view it as indispensable, particularly as it represents the penultimate years before the eventual decimalization of 1966. Historically, the coin reflects a moment of transition. Australia was preparing for dramatic changes, and the florin was soon to be phased out. The 1963 issue thus carries symbolic weight. It is not merely a coin, but a time capsule, preserving the legacy of an entire monetary tradition. Its value is both financial and cultural, ensuring its continued demand and appreciation. At $53,000, the 1963 Australia Florin is a bridge between tradition and change. It is a coin that rewards collectors with history, investors with stability, and both with the prestige of owning a tangible artifact of national heritage. Its place within the broader florin narrative is undeniable, and its significance within the market remains strong and enduring.